Get rid of the psychopaths with no empathy for running so many governments. We need to confront the rigged elections that return the same corrupt people supporting the shadow government and corporations. We need to get the arms manufacturers shut down. We need to inform ourselves about the devious secret activities of governments, such as U.S. and South Korean provocation in North Korea, NATO threats against Russia, and incursions into Chinese territory, all of which are not much written about but hugely increase the danger of escalating conflict. Finally, we need to identify and stop the corporations who are destroying our health, our water, and our food supply. We can only do this by joining together to discover, share, and build on the truth and act on it, to build a world that treasures the well-being of people and animals and nature above short-sighted profits. We need to support the brave people who shut down the oil pipelines in the U.S. and the gathering of Native Americans, biggest in a huge number of years, for trying to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline. It threatens their sacred sites and the water we all need to live. We need to turn it all around. We need as many people as possible to wake up and realize that this is their fight too, against a system which is collapsing and which will take everything down with it before it will change. And this is happening now. The outcome of all our efforts is not certain to succeed, but if we do nothing, we're certain to fail. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenda. And now we leave it to our guest speaker. Yeah.
Hi, thanks for coming, and thanks for arranging all this. And I hope we can have a free discussion here. Interrupt anytime you know that I'm telling a lie, or even if you suspect I am. After all, I am from the CIA. I welcome all of you, including anybody here from the embassy. Any of my former colleagues here, or FBI people, just raise your hand, please. They never raise their hand. I'm going to talk a little bit about something that was introduced by George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. It's called faith-based. You've heard faith-based this, faith-based that. This is faith-based intelligence. Think about weapons of mass destruction. Think about ties between Iraq and Al-Qaeda. And I want to start out with a story that you might be able to relate to. There are these two nuns going back from the hospital where they worked in Belfast, and don't they run out of petrol? It's in the evening, and it's winter, and so they just had enough time to go to the petrol station, got the petrol can. Well, actually, they didn't have a petrol can. What they had was a bedpan from the hospital. And so they said, well, this is better than no pan at all. They filled it up with petrol, and as they came back, they're trying to one nun has the gas cap, and she's trying to get it off, and the other one is about, I don't know if you know about bedpans, but they're very unwieldy with their foot. Okay? And so all of a sudden, screeches to a stop, a big limousine. Fancy one, you know, the kind where you push a button and the window goes down by itself. Who's there? But the Reverend Ian Paisley. And he sizes up these two nuns, one with the gas cap, the other just struggling with the bedpan, and he shouts out the window, "Sisters, I don't agree with your religion, but I do admire your faith." You guys are good. People at Oxford were told that about 2 minutes to get that one. So faith-based intelligence has gotten us into a lot of trouble, and of course it wasn't faith-based at all. It was fraud. Don't believe George Bush, Dick Cheney, or anyone else who says, oh, what a terrible mistake that intelligence was before Iraq. It was out-and-out fraud, and what really hurts is that my former colleagues were full participants in manufacturing, conjuring up, making up, forging intelligence to justify an unjustifiable war. Now, the people who were running our policy didn't know anything about the Middle East. That's clear, because had they known about Rudyard Kipling's poem, they would have known better. It is not wise for the Christian white to hustle the Asian green, for the Christian riles and the Asian smiles, and he weareth the Christian down. It's supposed to be the Asian brown. At the end of the fight, lies a tombstone white with the name of the late deceased, and the epitaph drear, a fool lies here who tried to hustle the East. It's really hard to imagine people being so ignorant and so full of hubris that they thought they could do what Bush and Cheney thought they could do and what Obama thinks he could do. You know, in Catholic theology, there's a concept called invincible ignorance. All that means really is if you're invincibly ignorant, well, it's sort of extenuating circumstance. You don't go right to hell. You kind of pass through purgatory, you know. So if you're invincibly ignorant, that's sort of like almost an excuse. Well, it's a combination of this, invincible ignorance and hubris. You know, a senator thinks he's got a lot of power and he can do anything he wants. Senator Kerry, and now Secretary of State Kerry, is precisely that kind of person. Hats off to Ed, who I see just left, who led the Killarney protests against John Kerry, getting some kind of medal for, what, for peace or something.
Peace.
Can you imagine? Somebody has a sick sense of humor. Yeah. Are you there, Ed? No, that's not it. All right.
Had to go to get his train.
I had to go. All right. Well, these are the kinds of things we need to do. The supreme irony, of course, was that the award listed one of his achievements, that is, getting Bashar al-Assad to have his chemical weapons destroyed. Now, nothing could be further from the truth. John Kerry was first among those who wanted to bash Bashar al-Assad, bash him badly with this war that they had concocted, the neocons had concocted, at the end of August, beginning of September. What went wrong? Well, the sarin attacks that he is credited with reacting to and getting the Syrians to destroy their weapons, well, he was in favor of hitting the Syrians very hard. Matter of fact, he appeared to Congress on the 3rd of September 2013 and said, we have to get the Syrians, we have to get the Syrians because they did this chemical attack and because they're just terrible people and because the good guys are starting to win. Those moderate rebels, Kerry said, the moderate rebels are starting to win in Syria. Now, everyone in Washington who followed this laughed through their sleeve. The moderates are winning. They were losing. They were beginning to lose. So this is one of those rare instances where a Russian or Soviet leader, followed them both, got up on the next day as President Putin arrived in Moscow and said publicly, Kerry, он врет, он знает, что врет, это печально. He lies, he knows he's lying. This is really sad. Putin and Obama worked out that deal behind Kerry's back. It's the most unusual set of circumstances I've ever seen. Kerry appeared in London a week later, so like on the 9th or 10th of September 2013, and he said, we have to get Bashar al-Assad because he did these chemical attacks. By the way, my former colleagues held firm on that one and didn't permit him to do an intelligence assessment on that. He had to put out a government assessment, brand new genre, which means it was prepared in the White House by political hacks. So, he followed this line, and that's why Putin said, you know, he lies. And as soon as Kerry was finishing his remarks in London at this press conference, after trying to get the Europeans behind this notion that we had to attack Bashar al-Assad in Syria, the last question was, well, Secretary Kerry, is there nothing that Bashar al-Assad can do to prevent the United States from attacking him? And Kerry said, you have to see it. I have it on my website. He said, well, he could give up his chemical weapons for destruction, but that's not going to happen. That's not in the cards. 9th September 2013. Gets on the plane, gets a call from President Obama. John, I probably should have told